My name is Q. I'm an event producer in the entertainment industry. This podcast is me and my colleagues talking about how we got into the business, offering career advice, and just chatting about whatever's happening in the world today. Please enjoy. Check, mic check. All right. Welcome to another episode of the Q It Up podcast. I have a special individual on the line today. She got into the entertainment business before I did. She was working with individuals like Drake, Meg Thee Stallion, Just Brittany, plenty of Houston underground artists, and she's been doing it for a while. She is now the CEO of Minty Cosmetic Wigs. Wigs. I love to welcome to the stage JaNaye White. How are you doing today, JaNaye?
Hey, thanks for the introduction. You make me sound so important.
You are important, JaNaye. You are important.
But yeah, so where do we start?
Absolutely, man. Well, first of all, just tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you're originally from Louisiana, and how did you get to Houston?
My parents got divorced.
Okay. We just
My
started
mom,
on a bad
she
note.
only was living in Baton Rouge because of my father. My mom's side of the family was from Lake Charles, which to my mom was even slower than Baton Rouge, and she always wanted to live like a big city life. Because she grew up in New Orleans. So she's like, well, let's go to Texas and see what's there for us. And she dragged me kicking and screaming, literally. Like I hid under the
bed. I got you. I see somebody is trying to enter the room. That's QB. Is that you?
Yes. That Quintin.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Yes, we got two Quintins on the line. Okay. Okay, there we go.
Awesome.
Okay, so back to me.
Yes.
So my mom dragged us to Houston, and I used to be like really kind of pissed off about it. I don't know if you even remember. Anywho, so yes, back to me again. So yeah, I don't know if you remember, like throughout my middle and high school days, I was always bragging and complaining about how much I hate Texas.
Oh yeah.
But if it hadn't been for my mom doing that, I literally wouldn't be sitting here right now. So it's grown on me.
Absolutely.
I do live in Texas now.
Absolutely. That's what we do to people. Everybody want to come to Texas.
And they need to stop. We are full.
Oh, absolutely. I'm tired of the traffic. I'm tired of everybody coming down. I watch a couple of YouTubers who live in LA. That's like, man, we're going to come to Houston, man. It's so cheap to live down here. Yeah, it is cheap. Go away. We don't want you here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No. So do you want to introduce your friend who just joined the call?
Yes, this is also Quintin.
Yes.
Yes, and yes, he's one of my science experiments. I always had a feeling like, hey, I kind of want to just leave entertainment alone, because I'm sure, as you know, you got janky promoters, you have artists who are super talented, they recognize your talent, they want your services, and then once they get money, they can't find the money to pay you. It's just always this circle that's very discouraging. And so I always threaten to be like, I'm not doing this anymore. But this guy is super talented, super duper talented. I don't know if he knows how talented he is, but he's super talented. He's kind of like if Kanye and Kanye and Manny Fresh had a baby.
Okay. Nice.
Yes, it's very interesting sound. So, I've been kind of creative directing, like how, he arranges his music so we can start pitching it to a few artists and whatnot. And I already have a lot on my plate. I really don't know how the hell I'm gonna pull it off, but it keeps me busy. It keeps me excited. And of course, I know that this is ultimately an entertainment podcast, so I wanted to still tie it back into the music. Because while wigs are my passion, I still wanted to be able to show what else I got going on. So Absolutely. I'll let you take over.
What's going on, man? Awesome. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into music.
My bad. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Better? All right. I said there's so much pressure after that intro. But no, I just always have loved music. What she's speaking of is I make beats. I want to be a producer. That's what I love doing. Is making beats. I am a producer. That's what I'm trying to do with it. And I've been really seriously since 14, 15. But I would say when I hit my 20s, but it's a thing where you're always learning. I would say that it's still something I've learned within the last year that I think I'm better at than, 10 years ago. It's something that's always fluid. You should always be learning and trying to get better.
Mm-hmm.
Your best beat should always be the newest beat you're about to make. That's how I feel.
Okay.
So, but really, I've been making beats forever. But it's within, when you become an adult, it kind of turns into, well, are you gonna really try to do this, or do you have to kind of let it go? Because like you can't just keep playing around with it, so to speak. So
absolutely,
that's where she's the person that comes in and kind of told me and tries to motivate me that I can really pursue it and really do that. You know what I mean?
absolutely. So, who are some other producers that may have influenced your sound?
That's so funny. She kind of hit the nail on the head with Manny Fresh and Kanye West. Those are two of the greatest to me. But the greatest to me, oh man, it's so hard.
Quincy Jones.
Quincy Jones.
Of course, Quincy Jones is one of the greatest. Of course, Thriller and all the Michael Jackson and Frank Sinatra. So many things you wouldn't even think he made. It's My Party.
Yeah.
Like that's something else. But then like for me, my generation, so to speak, what I really listen to is like Dr. Dre and Timbaland. Timbaland is like the greatest to me.
Okay.
And of course, there's the Neptunes, and then there's Kanye West. But to me, Manny Fresh and DJ Paul and Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia, they are their own separate levels because they were in the South and they were producing every song on every album consistently for years and years and years. And I feel like they don't get the credit for that right now.
Absolutely.
And like Cash Money, I was living in California at the time, but when I heard Cash Money, I just fell in love, even though I loved No Limit at the time. But when I heard Cash Money, it was just something different to me. I was like, it was more real to me, even though No Limit was supposed to be hood, but it was like Cash Money just seemed more real.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with Manny Fresh and those beats. And then I used to be like that. You used to get the real CD, and I was actually, because I love beats and music, I'd be like, dang, he made every single song on here. That's crazy to me. And that just always blew my mind. Same thing with DJ Paul and Juicy J from 3 6 Mafia, Hypnotized Minds. And that just really motivated me too, which made me think of how Quincy Jones used to be, where you would make every song on an album. And I was like, these guys were doing that, and people don't even realize and give them that credit.
Absolutely.
They weren't just doing it for one album or two albums. It was for years consistently. So
absolutely, especially on Manny Fresh, when you hear about stories where Wayne and Bird and everybody else get to go out and party and club, but Manny had to stay in the studio and be ready for somebody to come in there and record.
Exactly. But he does that because he loves it. You know what I mean? You can tell that's where he probably wanted to be anyway.
Absolutely. I agree, man. But that's an awesome story, man. Definitely can't wait to hear more of your music, man. Can you tell the people right quick where they can find you via IG or SoundCloud or wherever they can find your products?
Oh, it'll be both under Q Beats.
Q Beats. Okay. Awesome, man. Well, JaNaye, getting back to you. You say you wanted to step away from entertainment a little bit. Well, let's first track back. How did you get into entertainment?
Okay, so it's kind of layers to it. In 7th grade, my grandfather bought me a clarinet because from a very young age, I was always listening to classical music and stuff with him. And then he would after we would listen to classical music, he would like turn it to the Temptations or some music from the 80s, and he would show me, hey, this is where they got that music from. And I just thought that was so cool. So when he bought the clarinet, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to do this. People are going to be sampling my clarinet. Very, very ambitious thinking. So I played in band throughout high school. And after high school, I kind of just put the clarinet down. I was kind of like, that was something I did in school. I didn't really take it to college with me or anything. So it was kind of on my back burner, but I still remained like a music enthusiast. I still was very much an audiophile as far as like when I sit in the car, I'm listening for background vocals or certain, little instruments that come in and out. And I would pay a lot of attention to that. And so in 2008, after we graduated to like 2009, I was working for the Houston Public Library. And a place called the Prince Gym called me and was like, hey, can you come administer the summer reading program over here? We have, some kids in our camp who struggle with reading, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, perfect. So I drive over to Fifth Ward. They're telling me, oh, Prince Jim that's owned by Rap-A-Lot. That's owned by JPrince. I'm like, who is that? I don't know who that is. I'm green as hell. I walk in and I see, all the kids, and I'm doing the programs with them on a weekly basis. And I came to know the Prince family, and from my experience, they've been nothing but family to me. They're like one of the greatest things to ever happen to me. And so from then on, I started an internship with Strap Condoms, which is one of the brands. Yeah, it's one of the brands owned by the label, and help raise awareness and safe sex in our community. I worked at both of the Hip Hop for HIVs, which is a really fun experience.
Yeah, I remember those.
I found out, of course, through working, how they were connected to Drake and stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, I was so not very street smart, as far as like, I knew that there was a Southern connection, but I really thought that Wayne was the root of it. I had no clue that jazz had anything to do with it, much less, came in on a management tip. So just being in that environment and getting to know these people, and them knowing that because I was so green, I had no ulterior motives. They just kept giving me opportunities. Yeah. And by way of doing that was how I got referred to just Brittany. We're still very close friends to this day. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, I heard you know how to do social media and stuff like that. Can you help me with that? And from that, we've gone to many states. We've flown out together. We've done trips. We've done a lot of business connections together that I'll forever cherish. But again, man, it all it takes is like one situation for someone to be like, oh, I ain't got it for you. Or they backdoor and do some stuff behind your back. It might not even be the artist's fault. It could be the manager's fault. It could be the label's fault. You just be like, F everybody, I'm through with this, and that's me, because all you gotta do is cross over me once, and so now my way of involvement is really just like, if I know you, if I've dealt with you before, if I know you're good for it, then I'll work with you. But I'm not very friendly with new people. I tell them where they can go or who I know that will help them out. But I've become really disenfranchised when it comes to entertainment and how it can help me. It's been a very long road. I mean, I've been doing that since I was 18 years old, and I'm 30 now, and it's not paying my rent or my car note. Like, it pays for little things here and there, and it puts me in some really great experiences. So for me, it's more like a hobby. Like, even joining the Recording Academy, being a part of the Grammy Academy, I'm not going to say it hasn't done anything for me. It hasn't put money in my pockets yet, but it's put me in a great place to be able to network and help other people. Absolutely. If I truly believe in what they got going on. And Absolutely. So I think of more of myself as like a freelance consultant when it comes to entertainment now. It's like I hop in and out when I want to, but I don't really depend on it for my livelihood.
Absolutely. I think that's what a lot of people do now, especially in 2020. I mean, entertainment pretty much halted everything. Concerts, events. The Weeknd was about to get on the road. He had to cancel his whole tour. One of my new favorite artists, Dante Oliver, who was a part of Cactus Jack. He was about to get a great opportunity to go on the road with the Weeknd, but now that it may not happen, or it got pushed back into next year. So in regards to your experience going through those different situations where it wasn't the best, and I feel like a lot of people have to go through that. Everybody has to get knocked down, and it creates thicker skin. It makes you stronger. It makes you aware now, and also it makes you figure out your purpose and how to navigate where it fits in your life. Because right now you could have continued it and probably could have ended up with a full-time job somewhere, and you may not have loved it, but now you're in a space to where now you have your own business, and now you have the ability to jump in and out in your own will. Tell me more about your business, Minty B.
Okay, so also going back to high school days, or even a little bit before that, like my first cousin on my dad's side used to always do my hair growing up. And I just remember always feeling so pretty when she would finish doing my hair. And so by the time I made it to high school, they had the program where they would bus us to Dulles or to Hightower to take different classes, whether it was, culinary arts or mechanics and stuff like that. And I was one of 100 girls in Fort Bend District to take cosmetology. Nice. And so for my junior and senior year, we would spend 4 periods a day clocking in hours for state licensure for cosmetology. And the day before we graduated, my grandfather died. And that man was my best friend. And so, hope I don't get emotional. But yeah, I clocked out. Music, hair, anything that interested me that remotely reminded me of him believing in me, I didn't have the energy for it. And so all these years go by, I work all these dead-end jobs, or I do these amazing entertainment gigs, but nothing really comes from it that's like permanently fruitful. And I'm just sitting back like, I need to do something for me. Like I have all this talent, I'm very resourceful, I'm doing all these things for other people, but I'm not putting it into myself. So how can I, one thing, I used to also work for Slim Thug, and one thing that he said one time that stuck with me is like, a broke nigga can't tell me what to do with my money. And I took it personal at the time because I would always be telling one of my homegirls, oh, he always doing this, or he always throwing money, blah, 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 blah. He need to pay me more money, da, 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 da. But when he said that, I was like, you know what? He's not lying, like, what I look like telling you what to do with money, I've never even touched, And so it's not so much a money motivation. I was like, well, what can I do to reach this for myself? If I've been able to make people, 6 and 7 figures and walked away with 0 figures, how can I make that amount of figures for myself? And yes, I'm very passionate about music, but not as nearly as passionate as I was about cosmetology. And so I called state board and I was like, hey, do my hours expire? Like, do I have to retake the course? How do I get back into the industry? Because it's been 10 years now at this point. They told me the hours never expired. All I had to do was go up there and take the test. Well, in the midst of me researching and calling the state or whatever, I found out that they had what's called a Wigs certification. It's been in existence since 1978. There's only 15 in the state. None of them in Houston are Black, and there's only 3 in Houston, by the way.
Wow.
Yes. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go into that because while there is a huge fad about wigs, I'm wearing one right now. People in entertainment could use me I can still market myself to people to make money with the network I already have existing, but I thought it was more pressing to be able to reach out to Black girls and women with hair loss, because when they're in a situation where they have to get a wig, their options are extremely limited compared to that of someone who's white. If you're experiencing hair loss due to cancer, and they bring you to that area of the hospital where you can pick a wig, you normally walk out just bald because you're like, nothing in here looks like me, especially if you're a Black girl. There's no options for you. Yeah. So I figured that would be my niche in a very oversaturated market, is to more so, market towards women and girls who need wigs versus, the average girl who probably goes through 3 wigs a week. I also discovered that insurance will pay for your wigs if it's medically necessary.
Yes.
So I've been working on getting into different healthcare networks so that way my target demographic doesn't come out of pocket for their wigs. That's good.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, it's a very long road. I think of it more as a passion project, but everyone that I've talked to about it has said that this is going to be what I can do for the rest of eternity.
Much. Absolutely.
To kids or whatever. So I feel really confident and excited about it. And again, if I want to be able to tap into, my past network of people, I know they got the bag for it. If that'll be how I pay myself back for all those years, that'll be how I get the money back. But yeah, so that's one of the things I'm working on. And then I also launched a weight loss supplement website called The Trill Way. Okay. And in the past year, I started at like 271 pounds. I'm tall, so it takes a while. It's normally, it's once a button pops off my jeans or something, I'll be like, oh, I must have gained weight. And for a tall person, it hides. When you look at the pictures, you'll see it really wouldn't hide. It was in plain sight. But it took a while for me to see it. Okay. And now I am not 271 pounds. I'm down like 8 dress sizes.
Okay.
And so I've been, helping a few of my friends, jumpstart their weight loss, because you still need to kind of change your eating habits. You still need to do some kind of cardio or some kind of exercise to be able to maintain and keep the weight off or whatever like that. But I've had some really good success with that too. And I'm using that money to put into Minty Beat. So
That's good.
very full plate.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
it keeps me occupied.
Absolutely. I feel like, you are jumping into an industry. It's a billion dollar industry. Let's just be upfront. It's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to die. It's not going to be like, oh, I'm tired of this. It's going to forever be here. And the fact that you're figuring out how to make it your own, especially here in the Houston market that's so big, and you saying you were the first Black individual to be able to bring that concept here to Houston, I think is going to be amazing. So you keep doing that, man. I love entrepreneurship and people finding their way in their niche and taking their passion, and it's going to go buy them a Bentley, a mansion one day with the rewards of their hard
It's
work.
crazy. I think I might just get me a Tesla and another Hyundai and chill.
Hey, whatever makes
I'm
sure
not
both
even
float.
really flashy like that. I like nice things, don't get me wrong, but for me it's not even about the material things. It's just being able to put a smile on someone's face who has gone through something super traumatic, and they just want to feel like themselves again. Like I know that feeling. So I'm very, very excited about that part of my life, and thank you so much for giving me a platform to speak on it.
Oh, absolutely. I hope after this platform, we did talk earlier about you having some type of interest in podcasting. I feel like you can step into that avenue too. That may be a interest as well, especially now if that's something you might be into. So absolutely. So Q, we coming back to you, my guy. I got this segment called Top Five. So when I used to work for the Rockets, whenever we have somebody new come on board to help break the ice, we'll always ask them their top 5 rappers. Since you are a producer, I want to know your top 5 producers.
And I do, and I have it. I've thought about this before. And it may not be what everyone else
He's been waiting
thinks.
for this moment his whole life.
It may not be what everyone else thinks either. They may not agree, but to me, these are. It is Jay-Z, Eminem, Andre 3000, Mos Def, and Black Thought from the Roots.
Oh, nice.
And then you would add Nas in there too.
Where's Nas? Is it number 1?
No, I'm saying he's like, I still would put him in there. You could interchange him anywhere in there, but to me, those 5 are the solid 5, though. I would stick with that 5.
Okay. Andre 3000 is very talented, but he walking around lost playing his flute.
To me, that also shows his greatness. Like, that's how easy it is to him. Like he doesn't even realize he's that great at rapping. Like it's that easy to him. It's effortless.
Do you think? Are you looking for an Andre 3000 record or album right now? If he dropped one like this weekend, would that be like, yes. Oh my God?
I would definitely. I do. I definitely would. Like I said, of course, I love that last. It was like 20 years ago. God, I feel so old. Just speaking, Love Below.
Absolutely.
It was amazing. Like, hey, y'all just became a commercial here recently. Yeah. Like that just became a commercial here recently. Like that's absolutely how classic that is. You know
absolutely. I think it's a classic. I think he's on the same boat as Lauryn Hill. He made that classic, and it's just like, do we need new music from you? And it wasn't like he was gone all the time. He did pop up and do a couple verses and features for some people every now and then. So I think he did it the right way. And
it's that greatness. I think the same thing happens to Dr. Dre. I think when you release something that's so great, Michael Jackson too, I would say at the end of his career and his life, when you drop something so great, your expectations are so high that anything below that, you're scared. You're like, I can't just go out and go platinum. No, I sold like 10 million. So no, going platinum, that's still me being like, that's disappointing to them at that point. And I think of those type of people, they kind of get that as well.
Absolutely.
Like they get scared, like I'm gonna release it and know it's not gonna do this. or maybe not so much for a Lauryn Hill, but definitely like a Dr. Dre or somebody like that. I think it's like they get scared, like I don't think it's gonna do what it did the last time, and they just kind of make endless music. I'm sure they all have thousands of songs.
Oh, absolutely.
They just don't release it,
I'm sure, like with Prince, Prince Love, and he had all this music that was recorded, and of course Jay-Z and his team, they own those things now and protecting it and stuff like that. But he wants to drop an album, and his family, give the green light, and we are blessed with more music. And I believe Michael Jackson dropped something after,
right.
but it wasn't as notable. I think it was maybe 1 or 2 songs on there, but still, but yeah, much respect to those individuals and those greats and things like that. So back to JaNaye, I would do top 5 with you, but I want to know your top 5 podcasts, since you're deep into podcasts and audiobooks.
Yes. Okay. So top 5 podcasts. I definitely listen to The Read religiously with Quintin Berry and Crystal. I've been paying attention to Kid Fury since he was behind the orange wall in Miami, just shooting the shit when podcasts weren't even popular.
Yeah.
And I actually had the opportunity to work with him and Crystal for the Essence Fest. I believe that was 2018.
Okay.
So that was a really cool experience. So I love listening to them. I also listen to a podcast called The Skim. It's like if Cosmopolitan magazine decided to kind of touch on podcasts for 5 minutes to appeal to like a teenage girl. Because I don't really like talking politics. But I do know I need to know what's going on outside. So I'll listen to it. It's normally like a 10-minute blip, and they're like, "Hi, here are the things that happened today." And it's so cute. Yeah. So I like listening to that. I like listening to podcasts by Vox. They're very good news media network, and they're more adultish. They give it to you straight, but they're very left leaning. I don't really listen to a whole lot of stuff that's like neutral or on the right. So take that how you want. So that's 2. Let's see, number 3. Oh, my friend, the Thick podcast, my friend Sabria Majors. She's a plus size supermodel, and her roommate Minty, they have a weekly podcast where they talk, I believe they say love something in lipo. It's like 3 L's. Okay. But they do like a hot topics, and then they answer a few letters. And I just think it's really cute. I just like to listen to people talk. There's not really much on the radio these days that and maybe that's my age coming out. I don't know. But yeah, so I like listening to the Thick. I also like listening to Poor Minds with Lex P and Drea.
Yeah, they're funny.
Yeah, they're very funny, and they live the life that, not that I aspire to, but they are very free-spirited women, and it's just nice to know that they get to go and do what they want, and they have the courage to talk about it and advise other women who want to do it how to do it.
Absolutely.
So I listen to them, and while I do not care for Joe Budden, I do listen to his podcast. I guess that's my way of just hearing what other people are talking about. A lot of times, I would say like 90% of the time, I'm screaming at the radio because I don't agree with anything they're saying. So, and then number 5, I recently started listening to it. My cousin is on this podcast called The Crew Season, I believe. And it's hosted by a Twitter popular guy called Trill AC, a few other guys. My cousin is Otis. I don't know what they call him on the show. I like I said, I've just been kind of skimming through it. But it's pretty cool. It's more so, it's another barbershop type of podcast. Like, it's probably really not meant for me to listen, but I just like to hear what the guys are talking about. So I think that's 5. So yeah, I would say that's my 5.
Awesome. So going back to Quintin, as a producer, what current artists do you feel like you will really want to work with right now? Oh, your mic's not on.
Okay. Maybe I'm not close enough.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I said, of course, I would work with, I mean, I could sit here and list people, but I would be more interested in finding the next Drake, the next,
Okay.
Ella May, that next Ariana Grande. And I guess me saying that tells you those are the kind of people I would like to work with. But I think that's more like, that's the way to go. It's more longevity in that, finding that next person. I mean, of course, I would hop on with anybody in like any genre. I really love music. Period. I listen to all kinds of genres of music. I would love to make pop music, dance music, EDM. It really doesn't matter to me. But yeah, that's what I like trying to find. I want to find the next unknown person.
I got
we
you.
can come up together like Michael Jackson and Quincy Jones.
I got you. So a lot of artists are now stepping into the game with that like Kanye West type of mind state of knowing how to produce their own music as well. With you only being a producer, or are you an artist as well? Like producer slash artist?
No,
Okay.
no, I'm just making beats.
I got you. So with a lot of artists such as Kanye West, Travis Scott, for one, who has no problem pulling up a producing software and producing their own music. How do you, what about your service makes you stand out to be able to offer that next sound for that individual?
So I don't want to be an artist, but really, that's really how I started out making beats. I didn't.
Okay.
I don't know why I didn't say that earlier, but
It's okay.
I actually wanted to be a rapper at first. I actually was performing and stuff
Okay.
when I was like 12, 13. Even my school would let me rap at every dance we had. For example, I know that sounds cheesy, but just that alone, and then eventually it would always be over instrumentals.
Okay.
Every time I would do something, it was over instrumentals. And really I would just freestyle or whatever. And then I started trying to write songs, but it would still be over instrumentals. And then I was like, I want to make my own beats to rap over. And then I just fell in love with making beats from
the process.
And I was like, I just love, the best feeling to me is hearing somebody's voice over a beat I make. That's like being high to me. I just love that feeling, hearing somebody's voice over a beat I make.
You should tell
And so, but that's just, I forgot, I lost my train of thought, but
it's all good. So you were an artist, so you understand what the artist
is looking for. That's what I was trying to get to, my bad.
Yeah.
So that's where I was saying, I feel like I kind of, if you live, but that's the thing. And that's where that relationship has to come in. And that's where I feel like it's kind of better when you know the person, because that person has to kind of trust you. Because what I try to do is, I don't like to make the same things people already can get, necessarily what you're already kind of getting. I want to make something maybe different from other beats you're getting from someone, but kind of meet you in the middle. That's where you kind of have to trust that I'm the producer in that aspect. And say, well, maybe I'm not really feeling this beat necessarily, but it's like, trust me, that's where they kind of have to kind of go with you. Sometimes it doesn't always work out, but
Gotcha.
that's kind of where I feel like, and those people, of course, Travis Scott and all of them, they may make the beat, but if you notice, it's always someone else added onto it. Like, really, it's Mike Dean coming in and he's really finalizing the beat, and such like that. Even Kanye, they still have other people touch it for the most part.
Okay.
It's always a team effort, so to speak. And so that's what I mean. Even in that situation, it's like, if I'm good enough, I feel like a Travis Scott would want me to add to this beat he's making, so to speak.
I got you. So I go into this question, dead or alive, what is one notable legend that you would love to do a collaboration with?
Prince or Michael Jackson, if they
Prince
were
and
alive.
Michael Jackson.
No hesitation.
Okay. Absolutely. I never
or
had
the Beatles.
Yeah.
Or even the Beatles. But I would say Prince or Michael Jackson for sure.
Okay.
No hesitation.
Have you been to a Prince or Michael Jackson show in your lifetime?
No. As a kid, my parents took me to a Michael Jackson concert.
Wow.
And that's where he became one of my favorite artists.
Okay.
And they bought me the bad tape. I remember, and I would make them play it every time we got in the car for, I love Michael Jackson. And then Prince. I saw Purple Rain and I was just like, he's the coolest.
I got you.
Even though, everybody would be like, I've always defended Prince. And be like, man, he's gay. I would always be like, man, Prince will fuck your bitch right now. Like, I always been one of them people. I was like, man, he's a rock star, just like the other white guy, so to speak. He was just a rock star. But for some reason, I always tried to try Prince like he was funny. But not to sidetrack. But yes, Michael Jackson and Prince, those are like the greatest as far as artists.
Okay.
Like singers, entertainers, they were just the best. Like so many hits, so many songs.
Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. So to JaNaye, a lot of things have been happening in the world over the last few months. You know, the Breonna Taylors, the Megs, the Stallions, and now we have Kamala Harris, you know, fighting to step into the White House. How important is as a Black woman, do you feel like your voice is being heard right now?
Whew. I have never felt understood or heard by people who don't look like me.
Okay.
And even, and that goes even on a gender level a lot of times. I mean, I know we're starting to enter a space where we have this Protect Black Women movement where men are kind of starting to acknowledge and understand that we are the most disrespected group in the universe. Like, it's disgusting. Like, even thinking about it angers me, because it even starts even in the workplace where I could voice something that I don't think is right. My voice has arisen. I'm not being disrespectful about it, but all of a sudden I'm being aggressive and people are uncomfortable working with me. I'm like, but why? Why when I say it, it's a problem, but we have Karens all over the place who can say whatever they want to say, and woe is them, and they can be victimized, and everyone's coming to their rescue, whether it's a Black man or a white man or just other people. Everyone's rushing to them, and we're just sitting here like, well, what the fuck? Or you have, you know, women who are dying during childbirth at alarming rates, you know, and you can't overlook that and think, oh, this is just coincidental. No, those doctors were able to keep all of their other patients alive. Why is it different for us?
Mm-hmm.
So it's looking around, and it's way bigger than Breonna Taylor. Like, that's just really the straw that broke the camel's back. And this, yeah, it was our, I mean, you know, he wasn't the first one to say he couldn't breathe, you know?
Yeah.
You know, and living in a city where we are like technically like a blue city in a red state,
Yeah.
but we still deal with a lot of people who are very overt with how they feel about you or your existence or your presence.
Agree.
And you know, I'm telling stuff like this to my grandmother who's 74, and she's like, oh yeah, that happened to me too. It's like, okay, so when people are like, things are getting better, but the people who are saying that it's getting better are people who are not Black, and they're definitely not Black women. So as a Black woman, overall, like a lot of times I turn stuff off, or if I hear, you know, about another person being shot, I don't click on videos. I haven't clicked on a video in years. I didn't see George Floyd's. Reading the description was gut-wrenching enough. It really was. Yeah, and so, and then you also look at it like, well, crap, do I want to bring people into the world? You know, do I want to have kids? Because I see how people are treating me. I know they're not going to treat my kids any better. You know, it just makes you feel so hopeless. But you know, life goes on. We've survived through generations of people feeling like this for centuries.
Yeah.
And while it may never go away, I'm just going to keep living. I mean, it's nice to see. You know, we had Barack, now we have Kamala running for, you know, VP. So we see steps here and there that are progress, but it's like you're on a treadmill. You're just kind of running in place, because for every big accomplishment you have, it's like a huge, huge setback. And you're just like, man, when does it end?
Yeah.
You know, like what's gonna be the moment where we get justice for all these countless names of people who are not, you know, who are losing their life. And remember, I worked for the police department at one time. So I also can see both sides, but I can't properly argue with someone who has every right to be angry without losing all their respect, you know? Yeah, it's crazy. And again, because it's coming from a Black woman's mouth, it makes it even that much more offensive to whoever I'm saying, well, hey, well, this is the protocol, and I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying this is why it's being handled that way. It may not even be a racial issue. There's a race issue, don't get me wrong, but some of the things that you might see certain police departments doing is not a result of race, but just a result of these are rules that have never changed. But you can't even have those types of discussions with people. So at this point, it's just like, well, I'm not about to watch these videos. I'm not about to get on my soapbox on Facebook and tell people how I feel, because that ain't gonna really do nothing. I'm just gonna do what I can do to make myself happy, to keep myself safe. I'm going to vote. I'm going to donate to organizations that support, you know, what I want to see happen in the world. I'm going to instill in people younger than me that these are the things that I'm doing. So if you look up to me, you'll go out and do those things too. For me, I always feel like, let's start with the kids. Like the adults and these old people, they are who they are. We're not going to change them. We have a fighting chance with the kids. And I feel like the kids are going to be all right. They are already trying to overthrow the government. Like, I am so proud of the kids.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I could rant for days, but yeah, I feel like as long as I do what I'm supposed to do to show like, hey, this is what I want to see change, and this is what I'm going to do even if it never changes, I know I did what I was supposed to do. I mean, that's all I can do. I can't stress or lose sleep over it anymore. I've done that for too many years.
Yeah, I agree. Just watching that debate, I didn't watch the Donald Trump versus
I
Joe
didn't
one.
either.
I know it was going to be a circus. I was like, there's nothing you can say to me that's going to make me go one side or the other. But I did pay attention to the vice president debate that came on. Bruh, Kamala, bro, she gave that black woman look, bro. I felt it in my soul. She was like, I am speaking.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
I was like, shut up. She's speaking. My God.
I'm speaking.
Bro, every black person felt that stare at one point in
And
their
we
life.
felt it and we identified with it, but then you had the others like, oh, she's being passive aggressive and she's disrespectful. And no, she literally called him, you know, Mr. Vice President, where he could call her by her first name and no one bats an eye.
Oh yeah, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that personal value. She, like the host of the show. She was just like, you know, Senator Harris, and she's like, no, you can call me Kamala. She's like, no, I'm gonna call you Senator Harris. You know, I got that type of respect for you. But the fact that she's so personal, that's definitely important. Q, did you want to add to the statement of black women voices being heard?
It's just, I mean, like she said, it's a shame. Like she said, it's the same problems our grandparents, great grandparents. It's the same narrative. And they say again, when she says the people that say it is changing, they tend to not even be people of color, and it's just a shame. It's ridiculous. I don't know if you hear me, but I agree. It's unfortunate. I wish things would change. I do have daughters. I talk to them about it, and my daughter is, she has a very bleak look on life. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, these kids are not feeling Earth.
They're just like, no, I can't even imagine, what the next 10 years from now, I'm lucky to be alive. That's how they feel. Like, it's crazy like that. Like, who knows if another disease or somebody's gonna blow us up, or I'm gonna get killed by the police, or they've just seen so much. When you think about it, maybe we saw a lot too, but we didn't have the internet.
Yeah.
It wasn't pushed in our face. They really are aware of everything that's going on in the world. And so, even my daughter, she knows that it's crazy. She knows too. She's already has a fear of the police, so to speak. And she should. And it's not wrong. And that's unfortunate. That's horrible. We have to say that in 2020. But they act like it wasn't even 100 years ago where it was a law. They say America doesn't have a racist history, but it was not even 100 years ago that it was a law where we would have to sit in the back of the bus. That was a law. You would get arrested and you would get beat up if you didn't do it. Yeah. But they swear that's not America's history. Yeah. That wasn't even 100 years ago. Yeah. So that's the main part. When they say that stuff, that's the main part that makes me That's the main thing they're trying to bring up and say, that's not America's history. It's not racist. That was not even 100 years ago where it was the law. We had colored and white only sections and stuff. That was not even 100 years
Not
ago.
even 80 years ago.
That was only 50 to 60 years ago. So
Yeah.
that's the part that makes me angry. I don't understand how they can even come with that narrative.
Yeah, and I was curious one time. I asked my grandmother, who's 90 plus right now, and I was just curious. I said, because my grandfather's gone and he left a while ago, but probably 20, 25 years ago, he passed. I asked her, would you remarry and would you remarry somebody that's not black? And she immediately said no. And I asked her why. I was just curious. She said, because I was raised in the age where the white man was not pleasant to me. I said I can never look at him in a endearing way. I can be cordial now, but I will always have those moments where I know the fire hose, the dogs. My grandmother doesn't mess with dogs, and I was like, you know, a lot of black people don't mess with dogs, or our grandparents or older individuals don't mess with dogs because they went through that. And even my wife's grandmother, she went through that. She was at the protest. She was a part of that situation, and she was like, I can't. You know, sometimes even now she doesn't feel comfortable
We're born
around
with
people.
PTSD.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of my grandmother, she passed away when Obama had just elected, and I sat and talked with her, and she was just like, she couldn't believe it.
yeah.
She was like, I never ever thought I would see a black man as the president of this country, and I was so happy she got to see that right before she passed away.
That's good.
It blew her mind. She was like, I never thought that would happen.
Absolutely.
And that's a shame. That's
absolutely.
a shame.
Well, definitely praying for everybody out there and things to change. And it's important for everybody to get out there and vote. That's what's important. 2016 shouldn't have happened whatsoever. And it happened because people stayed home. I understand the situation. The candidates were not the most desirable individuals to put your vote in or trust into, but you know, now we see the results of us not going out there and having our
vote
voices
at
heard.
every election. We got to vote at every election because we have to remember that Hillary didn't lose the popular vote. So even the people who went out, our voices were heard, that who we didn't want as the president. But it also matters to vote locally, because the people we choose locally are who make decisions for us, you know, citywide, statewide, nationwide. And so that's how we always end up having a lopsided, you know, Senate and House, because we're picking people at times and it's not coinciding with what the population wants as a whole. And so that's another thing that I want to be able to stress to anybody who's listening is, you know, you got to vote every time, you know, not just for the big election. Yeah, but you got to vote every time, like every single time, even if it's for the superintendent of the school board, like that matters. You know, where your kids go to school matters. And there's so many people who move to KDISD or who move to like a certain district within HISD because they're so concerned about where their kids going to be zoned to. If you would start with just voting for the people who are put there, you wouldn't really have to worry about where you move to. You know, it starts at every single. We especially as a person of color, as a Black person specifically, as a Black woman. You know, my mom went off on my sister a few months back because my sister had admitted that she never voted, and my mom was almost reduced to tears because she was saying, "Do you realize what I went through, what my mom went through, what your great grandmother, who she passed away actually on my birthday, she was 98 years old. But up until March, we had a literal walking museum, walking, talking, living museum who would tell us everything that was going on. And she saw suffrage happen. She saw, you know, her mother and her grandmother as sharecroppers. And she went through the process of, oh, I can't vote. Now I can vote. Now I'm in a situation where I can vote, but I live in a state where people are doing everything possible to keep me from voting. So as a person that's Black, I feel like it's my duty to be able to honor that because of what my own blood went through to make sure that I had that right. Absolutely. So it's not just the president. The president can only do so much. Still vote for the president, but you got to start at the local level if you really want to be able to see change across the board. You know, you can't complain if you're not a part of the process.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Man, this has been an amazing conversation. I really appreciate both of you guys hopping on to the show. I want to utilize this space for you guys to tell me your IGs, how people can reach you and promote your product. And I'll let Quinn go first. It's microphone.
It's QBeats86 on both on Instagram and on SoundCloud.
Okay.
That's the main thing. Definitely check out the SoundCloud. I actually just uploaded like an entire album I just made with all original artists on it, just for fun. But it's pretty awesome, I think. So yes, please check that out.
What's the name of the album?
It's actually, and so I didn't even get into that about Kanye, how the Kanye got into it, how I think Kanye is the greatest. But 808s and Heartbreaks is one of the greatest albums to me. A lot of people don't like that album, but to me, I love it because it's super creative to me and different. And so it's kind of a play on that. It's called Heartbreaks in 808.
Okay.
It's the opposite, but it does. It literally incorporates 808s and like every beat has like 21 songs, and it does have like 808s and has like a synthy sound to it, kind of like the 808s.
Very dark
It's
and
very
moody.
old. It's like an ode to that album.
But you know, you got some reggae in there.
But
You got some
there's
Afro
definitely
beats.
some different. Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
There is some different.
Yeah, it's a nice listen. Very diverse. I suggest everyone go listen to it.
Absolutely.
Get
Absolutely.
them plays up.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you also have Spotify and all those type of things as well on those platforms?
I'm working on that.
Okay.
At the moment, but right now, for sure, just check out the SoundCloud.
Gotcha. Absolutely. All right, JaNaye, you're up.
Oh, me too. My bad.
Also, QBeats86.
Same thing.
QBEATS 86.
Got it.
And then for me, I can be found at several places. I'm all over the internet. My personal Instagram is at Sophie Grits, which is short for Sophisticated Girl Raised in the South.
Oh,
yeah.
that's clever.
So you can find me at Sophie Grits. You can also find my business page for Minty B at the MINTYBEA, and the B is for beauty. You can find me on Twitter at those same handles. And I don't want you to find me on Facebook because you have to be my friend. But I'm on there. I'm on there as well. And my website hopefully should be launching within the next week or so. If you are trying to drop some weight, I can help you with that. Don't wait. Go to the Trillway, WEIGH.com, and we'll get you squared away.
Awesome. That's great. Well, guys, I really appreciate you hopping on. And that has been another episode of the Cue It Up podcast.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Appreciate it. Awesome.